Hi, this is Lisa with Soul Nirvana Spirituality, and I'm coming to you today about my experience that I had in Sedona, Arizona. This is a little bit different than my card readings and my candle wax readings. Um, this is about a spiritual experience. Um, so I'm going to do this video. I'm going to do a series of videos on chunks, just because it's easier for me to produce them and get them to you with the information that I need to get. So I'm going to start off in Sedona. I tried to do this video the other day, and I had just got back from my regular job that I worked during the day, and I didn't feel like I was prepared enough. So I did a video, and I wasn't thrilled with it. So I figured I'd just try to do it over, get the facts, and we'll go from there. So I went with my son and his girlfriend to Sedona, Arizona, from New Hampshire, where I live. We went for 5 nights and 4 days. I planned the whole trip. I always wanted to go to Sedona. I had never really been to the desert before. I've been to plenty of mountains, but Sedona is supposed to be a very spiritual place as well, and I was kind of skeptical about having an experience there, but I figured I'd give it a shot and see the beauty of the area and go to the desert. While I was there, go to the Grand Canyon and a couple of other things that I wanted to do. So at any rate, we got there early Thursday morning. We went for a UFO tour that night with Michael of Sedona, and I had booked it from home. Like I never knew who he was or anything. I looked at the reviews, and he had the best. There were a couple of groups that went out and tour companies, but he seemed to have the best reviews, so I went with him. And so he took us up to the Airport Mesa Vortex, and we had military goggles, and we were able to see things with the naked eye, like planes and stuff, and then he showed us what they were in the goggles, and we were able to see planes, satellites, SpaceX, our ships, what he said were our ships, and also exotic ships, which we saw. It was like a big X, and it flashed, and it was actually my son's girlfriend and I that really caught our attention, and he saw it too, and we were all kind of in disbelief, but it was really, really cool. So we went back to the hotel that night, and I had some crazy dreams, but I definitely put them off to being because of the UFO tour that we had gone on. So the following day, we went to the Grand Canyon, and I had a rental SUV. It wasn't my own, so it was a little touchy. My SUV just seems to be a little bit smoother of a ride, but the rental was a little touchy. It was a little smaller than mine, and we had to do a lot of driving. So we had to go through these mountain ranges that were like 10,000 feet elevation, and these hairpin turns, and they were like 15-mile-an-hour turns. I had people tailing me, riding me, and I didn't like to be the leader of the pack. I was very nervous. I started getting very nervous, agitated, and nauseous. And at first, we were talking about maybe it was altitude sickness, because I actually had to have my son's girlfriend drive for a little bit on the way back from the Grand Canyon. But it wasn't altitude sickness. I've been in the Rocky Mountains. I have the White Mountains in New Hampshire that I've driven to and through more times than I could count. So it definitely wasn't any of that. Got to the Grand Canyon. I was still feeling a little foggy. It was surreal. It was like a surreal feeling, like it was like a dream. I didn't feel like I was all there. And it was spectacular, don't get me wrong, but I still kind of felt shaky and anxious, and I'm not that type of person. I'm usually pretty chill and mellow. And it really has to take something serious for me to get that way. And even then, sometimes I'm just very calm. So we went to the Grand Canyon, and it was interesting. Um, we got back that night. We were really tired. I think we just went to dinner in town. And then the following day, which was Saturday, we decided to go to the Airport Mesa Vortex. And the Airport Mesa Vortex was actually very close to where we were the night of the UFO tour. And I had planned on doing some crystal grid work, which I did do. So it was myself again, my son and his girlfriend. And we had gone and taken the Airport Mesa Vortex Trail. I had my crystals with me and iced coffee. I thought I had a water, but I ended up leaving it in the car. I don't know why I forgot that, but so it was about 0.6 miles to get there. And so we walked. I had no problem getting to the vortex. The trail was kind of tricky. It wasn't an easy trail. There were a lot of rocks and crevices, and you really had to watch your step because one bad move could cause you a broken bone. All you need to do is trip, and it was very easy to trip, fall, lose your balance. And I didn't have any problem at all. We stopped for a minute about halfway through. There were a couple of benches. We sat down and we continued on. And once we got to the trail, I started to do my crystal grids. So I did two that I left there that I had to put down low because there were smaller crystals and it was very windy. And I was planning on leaving them there anyway. But those were like for global peace, love, humanity. And then I did a bigger crystal grid that was mine for my own manifestations, whatever. And the kids, my son and his girlfriend, went up to the Overlook, which is about 300 or 400 feet up. This big cliff, actually. And I think they were gone for about 45 minutes, and I just sat there and did my grid work and prayed and meditated. It was beautiful. It was kind of windy, but it was really a beautiful spot. And then when they got back, they wanted to continue on and do this trail that was called the Airport Overlook, which was to our right. And when I looked over, I just saw this trail on the side of a mountain that only had about 4 or 5 feet space to walk on. And I didn't feel safe walking it. So I decided to walk back. It was a little too much for me. And I hike a lot, I walk a lot. So I'm in shape when it comes to that. I can walk, I can move, I can hike, I can even do a little bit of rock climbing. But this was just a little too much after, being on those ledges and driving through those ledges, because I knew it would bother me at some point. So we were up about 7,000 feet, but the Airport Mesa Vortex Trail at least had like a little grassy area and then kind of a gradual slope going down. So you didn't feel like you were going to fall off a cliff, basically. So I continued on my own. My son felt a little bad. He wanted to go with me. He didn't want to leave me alone. But being that it was my first time in Sedona, and I wasn't sure if it would be my only time, and I wasn't sure if it would be their only trip to Sedona, I wanted them to have a good time. So I told them, I'm a big girl, I can do this. If I'm not back by the time you are and you want to check on me, come and get me, just walk down the trail. So they went off on their own, and I went back and had to head back to the parking lot and go on the trail. So it was another 0.6 miles back. And I was just really struggling. It was starting to get hot, and I started to lose my breath, and I got very anxious, and I would stop every uh, little while and kind of catch my breath, meditate, close my eyes, and just try to relax myself because getting anxious wasn't going to help. Um, and I finally got to a point where I thought I was about halfway through, and there was the benches again that we sat on the way in, and some rocks. So I sat on a rock, and within about a minute or so, all of a sudden something hit me like a ton of bricks, and I felt like I was in a trance. Uh, I know there were hikers. I was aware that there were hikers going by me, and pretty much every hiker that I saw on the trail in and on the way up to that point, I was talking to. I was interacting with, saying hello, good morning. They were saying hello and good morning, but I just didn't say a word. I was just completely out of it, and apparently speechless because I couldn't talk. Um, and it was like about 5 minutes of downloads, um, feeling really buzzy, but I also had that buzzy energy in the vortex where I was like literally, like my body felt like it was vibrating. Um, but it was a good feeling when I was there, and I was placing the crystals in their grids. And I had two smaller ones that were like the flower of life, and they were like sacred geometry. And the bigger one that I did, I just kind of made up on my own and just placed the bigger crystals where I thought that they should be. It was very individual. It was just specifically for me. But sitting on this rock and having this experience was crazy. It was just so much information coming to me at once. So it went on for about 5 minutes, and then when I came out of it, I just sat there probably for a couple more minutes, and I was like, "What just happened to me?" I wasn't sure if I was, had like a mini heart attack, or because I was really struggling with my breath, and my heart was beating out of my chest. I don't know if it was like a near-death experience. I've had them before, and it didn't feel like that. And I've had a couple. Um, at any rate, once I got up and started moving again, I was fine. I had no shortness of breath. I had no heart, heart palpitations at all. And I made it back to the car in no time. As a matter of fact, I walked a little further, and I saw a group, like a family that was hiking, and I asked them, I said, "How far along do you think you're in?" They're like, "We just got started." So, I knew I was close to the end of the trail. So I get back to the car, um, and threw the air conditioner on, and had my water that was in there that was warm. Um, and it was about 20 minutes to a half an hour before Alex and my son and his girlfriend got back. And they didn't realize the trail was 4 miles long. Um, so it was pretty interesting. And I was a little worried about them, actually, which made me kind of come out of the second trance that I was kind of in, just sitting in the SUV, waiting for them. So that night we just had a really nice dinner, and that kind of helped me a little bit get back into my space, I guess you'd call it. Um, and then Sunday was our last day. We were exhausted. We did so much in that short amount of time that we decided just to shop and souvenir shop, and we went to a couple of places, and even then I was out of it. I was looking at these metal sculptures that would move in the wind, and I remember it just kind of triggered me off into, I felt like I was in space. I wasn't in my body. Had a couple more of experiences on the airplane, and I got all this information and visions, and words, and like talking in my ear. And this went on, even the night I got home, I kind of slept. I slept in the next morning a little bit. And then I decided to write everything down and piece it together a little bit. So that's what I've been doing. I'm not really sure if I'm complete because I got a few more things. But I'm gonna start. I'm gonna do a segment for each thing that I found out, each part of the information that I found out. I'm gonna try to put that in an individual video for everybody. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get something out of my experience. And maybe you'll take a trip to Sedona yourself, um, or maybe you can share your experiences with me also, because this was like something I've never felt. And I have my own spirituality business where I'm a Reiki master. I'm an intuitive. I read cards, and I have this YouTube channel that I do the candle wax and the card readings on. And I'm an advisor to many people. I also heal many people every day. I'm a healer. So I have a lot of, I'm booked sometimes for weeks. So it's not something new to me, the spiritual stuff. This experience is like something I've never had, though. So I wanted to share it with everybody. I was told to share it, or I would be doing a disservice by not sharing it. So in saying that, I want to send love and blessings to you all, and I will start the next video and try to continue on and get them finished today. Have a great day. Thank you.